Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Chris Loar.
Hello.
All right, we're recording again. I didn't press the record button before. Yay. We're saying you're a quiet American.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that most of my American friends here are way louder than me. Like in public, I'm I'm trying to do the subtle hints to bring their volume down without being offensive.
Interesting. So you are in situation. I'm not in that situation. I only see that from strangers who I don't know, and then I will point it out to my German girlfriend and I'll just be like, "Oh, look at those fucking slobs over there. Stupid fucking god damn it. I can hear you from across the street, you fucking moron. Shut the fuck up."
Right. Right. It's incredible. And also, and we talked about it, but just to make sure that I'm being inclusive for the audience, people listening, Australians are extremely loud as well. And my volume increases as soon as I'm around another loud Australian. If there's alcohol involved too.
Yeah, I mean, we have this in common. Group of drunk Australians, a group of drunk Americans are often, they're very close.
Very close, yeah.
Sensibilities.
What would you rate as the loudest nations after the US and Australia?
That's a good question. I mean, the English people can get pretty crazy, I would say.
There's those really annoying English accents too. They
Yeah.
talk really slow. Well, I'm not even sure if it's that accent. Sorry to all the English people I just offended. But there's some annoying, maybe it's the Geordie accent, like from around Essex or something. Like Geordie Shore?
No.
You don't know that?
No idea.
I thought that was like a copy of an American TV show.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
What's the trashy place in the States?
There's so many. Oh my God. The entire country is a trashy place. It's a trash country, actually.
Okay, so it really...
Oh, so many places.
I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and he's dating an American girl. Uh-huh. And I've dated several Americans in Berlin.
Yeah.
And they are by far the most unbalanced, traumatized individuals.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I don't like to make generalizations, but I think it's pretty spot on that all of the US citizens I've met, I said majority, that coming from the States, I think it messes you up. Like there's a lot of crazy shit that's happening there that you don't have the same volume of that kind of stuff happening in Germany or I don't know, or Australia, or you get crazy shit, of course, but the guns and
that's a big one.
And what else is crazy about the States? The guns. What else is there?
The guns, the lack of healthcare.
So
you've got these two sides of not only are all of these guns out there, but there's also just year after year, we just still haven't figured out how to give people healthcare.
Right.
So there's that. There's the one on my mind really is just the ever present media wars that happen there. I really can't find any news on German television or even European television that is just as contentious and vicious and tribal as the media culture there. And
that's a good point.
It's something that it's so weird. I feel like I can feel it in the air. It's part of the consciousness. It's this us and them. It's you're either on this side or that side. And I don't know. I think that permeates the culture in a subconscious way. And so, it's kind of crazy, how media in general dominates the culture. So I don't know if it's just my perspective, but I mean, I was born in Los Angeles, and so it's creepy. A lot of my first memories are of billboards and advertising and commercials and television and stuff like that. And, there's just kind of a present dominating media overlord that one feels living there. Whereas here, it's almost like media is a product. It's a product. It's a product among all the other products, but it's not looking over you.
It's not in your face. I don't know why that is. Why in Germany it really just seems. Advertising feels kind of provincial here. You'll get a few billboards around Berlin of new stuff.
Right.
But it's more I don't know. I don't feel like stuff's getting rammed down your throat
at
all.
Yeah. And growing up with that, and I think living your whole life with that dominating the culture. And when I first left the States and started traveling, that sort of difference hit me a little bit. But I think that can make a person crazy. If you like celebrity worship, for example, is just so part of people's lives in the United States, just celebrity worship. And people love celebrities here. We all like famous artists and whatever. But again, it's like, it's just not part of your daily life. Like this sort of weird, like it's almost the way people sort of get into the royal family. Like in America, we get into our celebrities and like,
although there's a bit of crossover between English, like British sort of what do you call it, like tabloids, and there's a really nasty culture of media in the UK, but maybe it's just because it's a smaller.
Well, they're also insane. I mean, they are so, especially after Brexit, they're just fucking crazy. Like they're insane people.
I just don't meet that many crazy English people as much, maybe. I don't know. I think it's the lack of guns. That's the only difference. It's like similar culture, similar saturation of negative media, but there's not the guns, there's not the violence as much, and I think that must be it.
Just real alcoholism, you know.
Super alcoholism.
Just like
how is it that the States don't seem to have as much of an alcoholism problem as the UK?
We do, but we also have this thing called the opioid crisis.
True.
So, which is manufactured by Big Pharma, which is by complete design by corporations. So we have major alcohol problem. It's just in the shadow of this other thing called the opioid crisis.
Fucking hell. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the opioid crisis is because I started writing a bit. All right, this is maybe something that ties in later, but I don't know enough about the opioid. What is it?
It's an epidemic.
Epidemic.
The amount of people that are dying, it puts it in an epidemic level.
So people are dying due to overdose?
Yes, on overdoses. I forget what the number is. I would have to look this up, but it's alarming. Yeah. It's like, every few minutes or every hour even, or every day, tons of people are overdosing on some kind of opioid drug, and their addiction usually is connected from being addicted to things they were prescribed, and then they were not able to get this prescription anymore, which led them into street drugs. So, for example, there's like a reportage I heard about West Virginia, which is definite like crisis point of this place, where it was an interview with a bunch of people in the fire department, and they said that there are always fire sirens going, but every time you hear a fire siren, it's not for a fire, it's because somebody has OD'd from
fuck. And so the form that these opioids take, so it's like they get prescribed something like Oxy or something,
Oxycontin, synthetic opioids. So Oxy is the big one. Maybe some kind of codeine, Vicodin. I forget all of them, but I think Oxy's
the big guy, right? I've never tried Oxy.
I haven't either. I tried some Vicodin.
I haven't tried Vicodin either.
It's pretty good, but they're super addictive. They're so addictive.
Why are they so addictive? Like, it's because you can still function and it just feels nice, or
it's a synthetic opiate, so it's as addictive, if not more, than heroin. And a lot of people end up on heroin because they can't get their synthetic opioids anymore, so they turn to street drugs.
But an opioid, from my understanding, an opioid really knocks you out. Like, you're high and you can't really function and do shit.
I think it would depend on how much you take.
Okay, so you can kind of not microdose it, but dose it so it's not overwhelming.
I think it's just so addictive that isn't really an issue for them. They just...
That's not funny, but okay.
They just do it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Oof. Okay. All right. So it's like heroin. It boils down to people taking heroin.
Basically.
And okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it is by design, by Big Pharma, by corporations did this, and they pressured doctors to basically write like robo prescriptions to people, overprescribe to people. You have basically in America, like, I don't know if it's changed since this has finally gotten out and these companies have been sued or whatever. But as an American, if you go into your doctor, you can just say, I have pain. And they're called pill mills. And you have these doctors who will just they get bonuses and money from these corporations to sell these prescriptions. So you can just go ask for like basically what amounts to legal heroin, and they just give it to you.
That's so fucked up. Like for some people, that's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like people that are, I remember my brother got a doctor. So in my early, like once I finished university, I started working full time for this insurance company. My brother worked there, and my mum worked there. And first full time job, it was like I had money for the first time, so I was like partying pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then I had this full-time job that I didn't want to go to often because I was super hungover. And so I'd go to all these different doctors. I'm a very responsible person these days, but in my early 20s, I was figuring out how to balance my work life and fun. And so I'd go to all these different doctors so that they wouldn't sort of catch on. Like one doctor wouldn't catch on to the fact that I'm always just hungover and it's not actually that I've got a cold or whatever.
Yeah.
And my brother finally got this doctor that prescribed him prescribed him tramadol. Do you know what tramadol is?
No.
Tramadol is like 2 levels below. What's the best one? What's legal heroin?
I don't know. Oxy?
No, it's called maybe
morphine.
Morphine.
Ah, okay.
It's like 2 tiers below morphine.
Wow. Okay.
Like the two small levels below. And so we got tramadol, and and so we started playing around with this recreationally. Mm-hmm. But like in Australia, it was that was. My brother got prescribed this, and we were like, whoa, like this doctor's amazing. Like we can get this stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And so there we were like partying with pharmaceuticals, it didn't really work for me. But, and actually those drugs ended up being used in a suicide situation later, which is awesome. But yeah, like you just can't, like in Australia, you don't get, it's very rare to be able to get hardcore prescription drugs.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I guess Australia's got more
regulation.
Yeah. That's so fucking scary that and
I forget about it being over here, and then I'll check in, and it's insane how many people are suffering because of this. It's crazy. And and then you think that the government makes some drugs illegal, but then these corporations are the real drug dealers. And things have changed with weed, which is great, but it's just sort of like you've got people still in prison for like really small time weed stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you have these corporations who are just like evil, just evil business. And this is part of the culture. So
you I'm not expecting you to know all the facts about the US, but do you know if people who were put in prison for like small time weed stuff, have they been let out since?
Some have. I don't know everything about it. Some have, and there's been since.
Got you in today as the expert on the United States and its crisis.
I will share what I know. I'm not going to pretend,
No.
But I think some have, but not enough. And the wheels of the justice system in America are clunky and slow, and so there's a lot of people that are still in prison that shouldn't be.
Highly problematic legal system. Okay, there's 2 prongs that I want to go off from here.
Okay.
One, legalization of weed.
Yeah.
Do you smoke weed sometimes?
I do. Yeah.
How do you so I used to smoke pretty much every day, morning, and then after work, and then before a show, and then after show.
Okay.
For about 4 years, I was smoking like that.
A lot. Okay.
And then, a lot. And then I stopped. Like, I could easily, when I visited my parents in the UK, for example, I would easily be able to not smoke. Like, it was fine. Yeah. But I was absolutely dependent. And so in 2020, I stopped. I wanted to stop. And I haven't looked back. I enjoy edibles sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
When I can get them.
Cool.
But so how do you like, you are an occasional smoker, or how do you feel about weed?
I have some at home for, I would say, just like chill time. Mm-hmm. I kind of prefer to smoke alone, honestly.
Yep.
Like I kind of like to just like smoke a joint by myself. Maybe at the end of a particularly long week or kind of a crazy time. you know, and just like kind of get really baked and like lie down, you know. Like, no, honestly, like, so it feels it's my ideal state. I think I told someone this the other night, but I will smoke out with people here. If somebody has like a spliff, I will participate. But yeah, I was talking to the last time I smoked in a social setting, somebody kind of got a little too high and was a little insecure and paranoid. He was fine, but he was like, I feel like kind of weird. And then I was like, yeah, man, I know how you feel. Like, I prefer to lie down, you know. And I was like, I'd really rather be lying down myself right now, but we're in a social situation, so I'm trying my best, you know. And it's like
spot on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that's particularly when you smoke too much, right? Like, or there's like a happy little point where it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Okay, so I smoked some. It was not a smoking, but like it was one of those little vape pens.
Okay, yeah,
it's kind of smoking, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I vowed to myself that I was never going to smoke again. But what was great was that the experience affirmed that vow.
Yeah.
Because and the person who had it said it wasn't THC. It was not CBD, but it was like CHC or some other compound.
Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. So she was like. They were like, it'll give you like the head high, but you won't be like body, and you know, you'll just like chill. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I just had this good set, and I was going to go to Kit Kat to meet all these people, but I also had to like catch an early train. I don't know what I was thinking. There were a lot of things in my mind. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to smoke this fucking thing. She's like, take 3 hits and it'll be perfect. And I'm like, you've got a high tolerance. She's like, no. I took 3 hits, and then and I was ordering my Uber to go to Kit Kat as it was settling in on my brain, and I was so stoned. Like I was like, I got out on the street, and then like as soon as like, and I think I saw the Uber driver across the street, and I'm like, why isn't he coming to me? And then I started building this whole story. By the time I got into the car, I was within 2 minutes, I was convinced that this guy was going to kill me.
Yeah, like just like down the paranoia, like
convinced. Like I got in, and he was kind of cute and not looking like a normal Uber Bolt driver, whatever that means. But let's add some stereotypes in there. But like he had like a stripy, like he just looked a bit alternative.
Okay,
and I was a bit like, okay. And kind of handsome from the back angle I had. Yeah. And he wasn't playing like top 40s music, right? He was playing an audiobook or some kind of like informative podcast in German that as I listened to it deeper, I was like, this is talking about ridiculous stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I think he's chosen this to see if I can understand, to see how much German I understand.
Wow.
Because this shit.
Wow.
Because this sounds like it's like crazy, silly, like absurd stuff that's been spoken about here. And then I was like, but maybe it's like stuff that's like part of like a cult, like it's some religious cult, and maybe he's trying to indoctrinate me, or maybe he's trying to hypnotize me so that I won't resist when he comes to like rape and murder me.
Right.
And then I eventually was like, can we put some music on? And so he plays some music, and then even the music that has got like an English line in it, which is like, oh, you're just like a chicken. And I was like, what? And it was like some party track. And I was like, what? Yeah. So I laughed at that. But then we drive past and we stop at these lights, and I look out, and there's a big poster for the Jeffrey Dahmer series.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, he's done this on purpose. Yeah. he's letting me know. I became so paranoid, and I just haven't been that stoned in ages. And then I knew, like, he knew that I was going to Kit Kat.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like the little collar thing that I was wearing was visible. And then I was like, oh, he probably, like, but then the line was really long. And so I was like, oh, actually, I want to go home. And then I was like, oh, but I don't want him to know where I live. So I was like, no, we can just stop here. And he's like, I can take you home. I'm like, no, we'll stop here. So I get out, and then I catch public transport home. That takes me like an hour.
Wow. You didn't even go to the club.
No.
That's hilarious.
No. And then the whole way home, I was thinking, like, fuck, like the level of paranoia I wonder if there's a connection between the number of conspiracy theorists in the States and like QAnon. And I wonder if there's any timeline with legalization of weed in the States.
I don't know about that. That's an interesting premise, but I will say that Germany actually has the largest number of QAnon people in Europe.
Whoa.
And I think outside of the States. I know it's the largest in Europe. It's crazy because it basically means that you probably know someone that knows someone. Like, you could probably connect yourself to a QAnon person here.
No shit.
Yeah, and weed's not legal here. So
yeah, okay, that
I don't know.
throw that out the window.
I don't know.
And I think not like weed doesn't make everyone paranoid. Like, I don't think when I was a stoner I was paranoid all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can remember deep paranoia connected with weed, and I think certain weed can inspire paranoia, but what you're describing, that's about as high as I want to get. Like, if I'm smoking pot, I do want to get that high. So do you know what I mean? Like, I really like the idea of like, oh, I'm just gonna smoke this spliff and get a little, like, whatever. That's okay socially, but if I'm gonna smoke some weed, like, I want to like Snoop Dogg that shit. You know what I mean? I want to like really go for it. And so paranoia, and again, this is why I like to lie down by myself at home, which is, you were on your way to doing that. You know what I mean? You probably ended up lying down by yourself at home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I ate some stuff first, which was good, and watched some shit. And then did that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my ideal. Or if I was that high, and I was in a club and around some music, that's cool, because if the music is loud, then it's almost like a private space that you're in, because it's like, you know, everything's so loud that you don't have to talk to people. You know, you can just you can be in a vibe.
If my friends had still been in the line and hadn't already gotten into Kit Kat, like if they were still outside and I could have joined them, I would have done that. Yeah. But they were like, all the messages were like, "Oh, we're inside," and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go into that 2-hour line. Yeah. When I've got a 10 a.m. train and I'm just stoned. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't recall. Like, I remember having moments of paranoia, but yeah, it's good though. It was like, I do want to get some edibles though, because I feel like winding down is something, because I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. Right. Winding down is something that's hard to do with hard drugs.
Yeah, I mean, hard drugs, you really get the sense it's like, you know, you do pay for it and nothing is for free. And it's just kind of an investment into a period of recovery and like...
Although I'm doing hard drugs quite like instead of having 3 beers in a night, I'll do like 1 line of Coke. And that's nice. But the actual winding down vibe, like wanting to like chill out after a show or chill out after... you know, lots of manic activity, like that can't be achieved with, I think, anything but depressants, which are alcohol and weed.
I don't know. I mean, you ever have a nice cup of tea? You know, you ever have just some chamomile?
I love chamomile.
Just some herbal tea and maybe a cookie. You know, maybe some literature. That's what in the olden times, I think people would just read a nice, really long,
it's true. I could just read
novel.
I do read. I do enjoy reading, but sometimes when you're just like, you're so exhausted, you're not wanting, like, you're wanting to watch something. So yeah, a cup of tea and a little something to eat, watching something is nice, or reading. But it's more like socially. If I'm out socially and I'm wanting to just chill out a little bit and be with people, it's like, I'm not going to pull out my book.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I'm not close to it, but nah. But so you've been out of the States now for how long?
2 years, and I moved here in October the 2nd of 2020, so that'll be 2 years in a few months. So
okay, not that long. But you left and you were traveling in other places before you settled in Germany?
No, I left. I had traveled around Europe before, and I had been to Berlin before and other places. But I left in the middle of New York City pandemic, and I came straight here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I see you're pretty fresh, and you've already got like an established, lovely German relationship.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, it's like the opposite of my experience, but we all take different paths. Had you dated any Germans before?
No.
Your first German.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I have not dated a German.
Yeah.
What have you noticed about dating a German?
Well, she's not like a typish
Nice.
German. So we do like, she does point out things to me about German people that are funny, and like we make fun of German people and German culture. She's from Bavaria, so we make fun of that. I would honestly, there's nothing that I picked up on, that reminds me of anything. For example, I might read on these like Facebook expat groups, or somebody's like, what is it with German guys, and or whatever, or things I hear people talk about. So yeah, I don't know if it's because she's not like a typical German kind of person, or if I just don't notice, but I honestly I haven't noticed too much. I mean, I guess like she's never late, you know what I mean? Like, so there's that. Or if we are getting ready to go somewhere, like, it's just like always on time, which is a stereotype, right? But it
is a stereotype.
But I'm always on time, so I don't even notice it. It's just, and this is why sometimes I feel like I'm becoming more German, because I feel like, oh, that's not German. Like, that's just the way things should be, Right. And that is a German kind of thing of like, no, that's the way we do things.
I feel the same way.
So that's something I actually really like about the culture is like a sense of that there are certain things to be done a certain way, and like, it's not cool to be late. Like,
and it's just kind of logic as well. Like, I feel like I used to be frequently late, and I don't know, somehow since I've been in Germany, I'm really
nice.
like, I'm really not, and like
life is better when you're not late. It's so much better.
It really is.
It's so much better. I have been around just like late-aholic people many times in my life. Growing up, my family was late people, and it's like so stressful, and then I think
it's stressful.
People get addicted to that, and like, if you can just be on time, like, your life it's just like it's a joy.
It was actually an American that told me but she was half German, half American. So there we go. The little saying to like stop you from being late is, if you want to be on time, be early.
Yeah, it's like liberating, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and my mum is she's chronically late, like, and it's so stressful, and it stresses her out, and it's like, why?
Don't do that to yourself.
However, I've got to say, like, I do tend to, and I've noticed this, like, I really push things to the last minute, so I will never leave my apartment before I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I can't, it's like I will be getting ready up to the last minute I need to leave.
Yeah.
Like, right on that dot, and then I go. Like, I'm never.
Yeah.
And that's like the train or whatever that'll get me there on like early, but like I'm never. I don't know what that is. A pressure thing.
Yeah.
Have you Googled, like, not mental illness per se, but like sort of different disorders, and wondered if you yourself have like ADHD or bipolar, or have you done that before?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Google. I just looked at my father. Nice. And I went to therapy.
Okay,
But no, before I did all of that, I did I did Google all of that.
I'm not asking because I think you.
Wait, that's my next question. That's my next question. Is like, do I seem like a person with ADHD? I'm like,
no, I was just like, in me talking about my punctuality, but also like time management, where it's always to the last second. I've thought a lot about whether or not I have some kind of thing, and I've found myself Googling these things a lot.
Yeah. No, my dad has like a kind of OCD. I forget the exact name of it, but it's a kind of OCD. So he is although he is a late person, chronically late person, he is very, very organized. And so I inherited a lot of that sensibility of kind of everything in its right place, which I feel is good. Like I feel like I tried to take the healthy parts of that and integrate them. So I think that plays into it. Like, this is exactly when I'm going to leave, and I have exactly this much time to stop by this place and get a coffee at this one place before I get something to eat here. And then like you have like a sort of plan going. So.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I've definitely got both my parents have pretty strong OCD tendencies.
Yeah.
Like blood parents. And And I've definitely got that. And just like in terms of like cleanliness or, you know, like checking if the door's locked or these little things. Like I don't experience anxiety because of it, but I am definitely very obsessively orderly and stuff. Yeah. But I think it's right. And then ADHD stuff, like I wonder, but I think my time management's too good to have ADHD. Like I need that last minute deadline pressure to do things, but get
you don't
things
see
done.
someone. No, I was with someone for a very long time who had really bad ADD.
Oh yeah.
And just literally like getting lost in one task and just like losing the thread of like what needs to get done and where. It's pretty. It's tough. It's a tough thing for people to deal with, I think. It's like,
okay, because so many people, like, it's not to say that it's not valid, but like so many people have been diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
Or are medicated for it.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that it's not a real thing, but it's like how crippling it is.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. Like, I do think I can remember hearing about a lot of stories of possible misdiagnosis of ADD or like and certainly in the States, going back to like prescribing opioids, like people like taking children or this like just sort of saying that they have ADD. Well, maybe they don't. So I don't know. People kind of throw that around too. People throw around OCD a lot, like, oh, I'm OCD. But if you're actually OCD, it's like actually a serious thing.
It's anxiety creating and problematic.
It's actually like debilitating and a real condition.
Yeah.
So this sort of casual, I don't know, at least in America, and I think in the West in general, there's kind of like a weird appropriation of like mental issues. Like, oh, I'm a little bit bipolar. And it's like, are you though? I don't know. Like, exactly. Have you ever met like a really bipolar person? Like, I think you might be a little sad sometimes.
Totally. Totally.
I don't think you're like,
you're not like going manic, you know, like bipolar is I've dated someone with bipolar and like it's a full on thing. And I've lived with someone with bipolar as well. Yeah. And like it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. But I say like I'm OCD, but I don't get the anxiety connected to it.
Right.
But I like much like it's a very, you know, like it's a very mild form of it, but it's definitely there in that I get bothered by things quite a lot, but it's okay. I don't need to be medicated for it, so I'm fine. Yeah. But okay, so you live with someone. You were with someone with ADD.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so now, in your new relationship, you're the person with the. No, I'm joking.
Yes.
Nice. Do you want to have kids?
No. No. I don't. I've thought about it a lot recently. I think about it every now and again. And I think the answer is still no.
Okay, nice. Oh, that's so cool. I love that clarity.
Yeah.
And relative certainty.
Yeah. I have a niece who's wonderful, and she just turned 6, and I was back in the States in November. And I was back in April of that year, and I spent some time with her and my brother and his wife. And I mean, when you're an uncle, I don't know if you're an
I'm
aunt.
an auntie. Yeah,
so it's like you get a little taste of sort of what childcare is all about and what actually being a parent, like just the day-to-day kind of full-on job it is. And,
yes, definitely.
And just how much time and that all of that takes, and like. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just not something I like feel like I want to do. That could change. So that's I say that, but I'm also like I could change my mind maybe.
Yeah.
But I can't be. I really do feel the lean towards no. So it's important for me to be honest about that. You know.
Yeah, like I worked with children for like almost 4 years, 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So at a kindergarten and then as a nanny. And so in the kindergarten from like age 1 to 7, and then as a nanny they were like 6 and 8 when I got them.
Yeah.
And I ran away with them. No, but they were very different. Like they were very different experiences to what experiences I've had as an auntie. I think, I don't know, like I feel like your nieces and nephews, like it's a different relationship. Like being a parent is very different to being an aunt or an uncle, which is very different to being a carer.
Right.
And I think the relationship you have as obviously the relationship you have as a parent, like there's this full love there. You get to see all the things. It is full time, but your relationship is so special, right? Yeah. But then as an aunt and uncle, you're seeing all the hard work, you're seeing all the bad behavior because you're at the home.
Yeah.
And like the kids can be lovely and sweet with you, but they're also just like not, like you don't have that special bond with them, right, like the parents do.
Yeah.
But you're still seeing all of their shitty behavior.
Yeah.
Like the shittiest behavior. Now, as a carer, you see their shitty behavior, but you also, I don't know, you have your own independent relationship with them because you're not related to them.
Right.
And you're I don't know, you're a bit more of an outsider. So there's a slightly different, there's a different relationship there. And so they treat you differently than they would treat an aunt or an uncle. Yeah. So I think like hanging out with I've got a 4-year-old niece, a 6-year-old niece, and an 8-year-old nephew. Uh-huh. And hanging out with them makes me go, if I have a child,
yeah, there'll
only be one.
Yeah.
Because this sibling shit.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing with my brother and his wife. They are very much like one and done. Like that's it. Like they can only,
like, it's so nice for a kid to have siblings, sure, but like fuck that. Like the dynamics, the chaos, like everything's just, having 2 kids is not like one extra things multiply exponentially when you've got that dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, man. I don't want to deal with I really, I don't see.
Well, like the thing, I spent a lot of time listening to my brother and his wife talk about being parents, which is a very interesting change, and they make fun of themselves for it because they are very much become the typical people where they're just like always talking about all they talk about is their kid and like being a parent and how crazy it is and like how tired they are and like how insane it is, but how wonderful it is, and my kid. Yeah. So it's fascinating though because I can really listen to what it's like for them.
Yeah.
I just completely lost the thread of what I was going to say. You were saying, what did you just say
siblings,
about siblings?
Only child.
Like one and done.
Chaos of the having 2 kids. It's not just 2 kids. It's like the extra dynamic of their relationship.
Right.
Also, like just looking at like the level of resentment and the competition and I love my brother so much, but I would say like. There's like, and you're going to get traumatized and you're going to get value from lots of interactions and relationships in your life. But like, a sibling relationship is extremely complicated.
Well, right. And now I remember where this was going. But basically, the way that parenting goes now is like this sort of isolated kind of bubble thing where it's like, my brother, his wife, the kid, or if they had another kid, it would be like siblings and kid. Mm-hmm. But, there used to be a whole time where people were brought up in a community of like big families. And so you've got grandparents and you've got people, everybody lives kind of in, a more village situation. And then you've got, your friends have kids and then these kids go play with these family members. And it's like, it's a real group thing. So it's not all of this crushing weight on just these 2 people. It just seems insane.
I don't know about if it's the same in the States and where your sister, brother, family is. Where are they? Are they in LA or?
They are in currently Minneapolis.
Okay. Well, okay, so maybe it's like a relatively like car-based society. Yeah. That's the thing that I also noticed going to Australia and versus Germany. These kids that I nannied for and also kids from the kindergarten, everyone lives in this area. Like they go to school near where they live, and then everyone lives nearby. And
Right.
and because I don't know why, but like I do know why. It's just like higher density living and everyone living. It just means that the kids can go and visit their friends independently.
Yeah.
They walk 5 minutes and they're at their mate's house.
Yeah.
And then they walk another 5 minutes and they're at another friend's house.
Yeah.
And they can start having
On
independent
their
social
own.
lives
Yeah.
on their own. Whereas in Australia, it's like the distances, you know,
Yeah.
people live maybe in the same area, but that area is hugely spread out. And there's no way a kid is going to walk an half an hour to their friend's place
No,
by
you
themselves.
gotta get in the car, and I was a kid in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
it's like you gotta get in the car, and you gotta go on the freeway, and you gotta do the thing, and like, it's very
Same in Australia.
isolated. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so as a child, you have no independence. You might be lucky and have one friend that's close by, but I didn't. You know, I need my parents to drive me everywhere, or
Right.
I'd go. You know, or like I would need my parents to organize to pick me up afterwards, and like that's a whole thing. Whereas being able to just drop by, and so. Yeah, I think there's something about, I don't know, like what is it? What am I promoting? Like higher density living is better for children? Like, I don't know. Or just smaller, tighter community. Like how is the community tighter here than it is in, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think, I don't really know too much about it, but it seems like it's best for people to be socialized early.
Yes.
You know? Like,
Yes.
It just seems better that way.
Like in here, it's so normal for a child to start going to daycare and like kindergarten at the age of 1 or even months earlier. And I remember telling my mum that, and she was like, "Oh, that's not okay." And it's like, are you kidding me? That's so great that this child is having interactions with other people.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it sounds pretty good for the parents too.
Fuck,
Like, cool. You can
yes.
already see it.
Right.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, like my friend had a baby like last year, and at 7 months, she was able to drop her kid off.
Wow.
At a kita 3 mornings a week for like 3 hours.
Wow.
And get those 3 hours of just being able to like get the house clean or sleep
do
or
whatever. Yeah.
You know, like, I wouldn't want to have a kid anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah, I will say that. So that's an interesting thing is that, I'm still pretty much don't want to have a kid. But when I moved over here, and I mean, that's something that, I mean, when you see parents in New York, they just look like the difference between how I see parents here in Europe with all of this support, maternity leave, all of this social safety net that is given to parents, young parents. I mean, the difference between how they look here and they look in the States, like young parents in New York comparatively look like Vietnam War veterans. They just look like, and then, it's just, some shit. Like they're just like, in their eyes, they just look like they're really suffering. And I think it is a suffering thing to do no matter what. But one thing
there's also joy. And
I sort of saw something. I would see people in my building. I would see young parents out and I would be like, I still don't want to have kids, but a part of me was like, if I did it here, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, it doesn't seem certainly not as bad as in America.
Right.
I don't know. Got these Kitas. You can just
get one of those bicycles with the fucking thing in the front. The kids sit in the front. Yeah.
Get some money from the state.
Get money from the state, exactly.
So.
Get a whole bunch of like parental leave.
Yeah, I mean, and that is a real culture. That is a culture shock, and a reverse culture shock too is to go back to the States and be like, cool. So you just don't get help, if you're having a kid, and like here, it's like you get help. I mean, what a good thing.
What a wonderful thing.
What a good thing.
So like it feels like just to round out the shitting on the US thing, like opioids, fucking guns, and then not supporting people having children. It's like the US population is just going to stop. That's where everyone's just going to die and not procreate.
That's an interesting question because in major news recently there was some.
But there's no abortion though. Sorry.
There was some. No, I mean, just in a lot of states there is, but they want to change that though. They're pushing to change that on a federal level. Certainly, those people are gonna keep this going with the Supreme Court. They've been working it for after this for just decades.
Like I get cold chills here, like just that whole topic. It's just how fucked. It makes me so like, I'm not there, but it's just like they are like the US is this fucking top like cultural, giant, and for them to be doing that is just, as a woman, it makes me sick. It's so sick.
I mean, there's a real energy there of kind of rolling back, rights such as that, and honestly, that's arguably a major, if not the major thing that delivered us Donald Trump, is that he promised to do that. He promised it from the beginning. Every time he got to talking about what he was going to do, he talked about the Supreme Court and, like Roe v. Wade and stuff like that. And, it's like, this was coming. This has been coming for a while. So
why though? Like, why? Like, from when was the Supreme Court thing where it was like, yay, okay? When did that first happen?
What, you mean Roe v. Wade?
Yeah.
That was in 70, I want to say 76 or 72? 72 or 76. Yeah.
Okay. And
it's an interesting question. Why? And so recently I did some learning about more things that are going on with the protests in Iran, right?
Yep.
And so you've got this religious state there that is basically a pillar of this autocratic rule there is the oppression of women in a day-to-day tangible thing.
Yep.
So, and that manifests in morality police, and that manifests in women not being able to play sports and women not being able to do this and this and this and that. So I do think there are some people in the States that want that kind of moral authority over women. Yes. So it's like if I look at something like Iran as like, an extreme example of that kind of female oppression, I think there's some people in America that would kind of like to take us to a kind of Handmaid's Tale situation. I think it's weird because you ask psychologically, like, why, right? Because it's just like, why? And
like, because it's coming out of relatively nowhere. Like, since the 70s, 80s, 90s, women equality, pay gap closing, stuff like this, like, like fucking Hillary Clinton, and it's just like Hillary. I'm not sure about Hillary Clinton as the example, but like, other like, great women doing work, like being treated as equals in society. Where is this isn't right sentiment coming from?
I don't know, but I think there is just a deep fear among many of women. Like, just fundamentally, I think there's just always been kind of a weird, like, insecure male fear of women, and that like women having the same rights is like somehow a dangerous kind of thing. And it's weird. It's super weird.
Where does it come from? Like, because it's not very, like, okay, a lot of Christianity, and also like, Judaism are structurally very patriarchal, but not to the point where a lot of, like, there's been more and more Christian sects that allow women to be ministers and, go into the top ranks. Of course, there's still the smaller or the larger. Like, even in Catholicism, women can come to a certain point, but they can't get beyond. But still, like, that stuff kind of opened up a little bit there. But, there's lots of different types of Islam, yes. And, I don't know. I can't understand. Like, obviously, as a woman, it's okay. I was also going down the Judaism thing, like, but I don't think, like, certainly not Judaism. That's like, Judaism just, structurally, like, there's lots of things that women can't do, and they like hide their, in the very orthodox things. But it's like, that's not the majority of American citizens. Like, they're not these sects of the hardcore extremist religions. Like, they're not that.
No. But it's an interesting point because, you have an example of, like, what you could call a small number of people or something that's just not really that popular. But there's a lot of energy behind it. Like, I mean, yeah, like for example, in Iran, like the Iranian people are not the government there.
No, absolutely
you know what
not.
I mean? Like, it's not who they are. But
No, and that was super like progressive before this. I don't know all the details, but like before this regime was in power, like Iran was very progressive, and there were no hijabs, and there was like, great universities that were not teaching anything religious, and for a long time, well, for quite a while. But yeah, I don't get. Yeah, I don't know where we're going with this topic, but it just shocks me that any kind of
Well, that's what you're speaking of is kind of something I encounter here a lot as an American, because people have this idea of American culture that's largely reinforced by our eminent and real dominating soft power culture of entertainment and films.
Yeah.
And so people are shocked to when they learn things about the culture that seem kind of backwards or weird. And I don't know, so many people that I met moving over here from different parts of the world, a lot of people I worked with, a weird job I had, I met some people from Eastern Bloc countries and some people from East Africa, and they were just like, why did you move here? Like, why? Like, you
really?
left America? You left America? And they're just like, you see the veil of the soft power culture on them, and that's what they understand of America. It's the land of the free, where everyone, is just riding around in a convertible and going to the beach, and it's just like the movies, and
girls in bikinis.
Yeah, and it's
and pantsuits. Yeah, but same. I get that a lot with Australia, but there's a lot. Australia doesn't have any soft cultural power. Like, it's just like surfing and sunshine, and okay, we did a good marketing job there, and a lot of people don't realize the cultural and political issues within Australia that are bad. And a lot of Australians also don't really admit them and won't talk about them. But yeah, it's and when I do talk about them, people are often like, "Oh wow, like I didn't know." Like, they don't know shit about the indigenous people. They don't know and naturally, like, of course, like Australia is irrelevant, but America is a lot more influential. But how do we change this? How, like, why? Like, we can't have this backwards, women losing equality thing. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I left the country, so like, honestly, selfishly, it's pretty selfish, but. I mean, I don't know.
If Germany has the largest in Europe QAnon following, does that and there's also like the AfD, which is like the for listeners who don't know, like the kind of new Nazi party, sort of. They're very anti-immigration, and they're pretty much like anti-Semitic as well, right?
They are a far right.
They're far right, yeah. But Germany seems far from like going towards, like reversal of any rights.
Yeah. As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Like we've had this sort of center left party in government for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which feels safe to me.
Well, I don't know. It speaks to something. It's something I think about a lot, and I mentioned it earlier, but there's just not this sense of us and them.
Yeah.
There's not this sense of there's this group of people that want things to be this really different way that's all the way over here, and this other group of people that want it to be all the way over there. And also there's an invisible group of people who don't vote in America, which we call the silent majority, who are probably like want things to be reasonable and would want to find some sort of compromise. But those people are kind of like,
well, they're complacent, like, with whatever happens. Like, by not voting, then that means that they're...
Yeah, you could make that argument. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really thought about that a lot. Yeah, it's like the sort of resentment of like the not voting, like you should vote. Isn't it true in Australia, like you have to vote? Like you get punished for not voting?
Yeah.
When I heard that, I thought they should do that in America.
Honestly, I think
thought
it's
they
good.
should, because if they did, things would look a lot different, I think.
It creates some other issues. So compulsory voting, I have been fined for not voting at the...
How much is the fine?
I don't know because I got out of it.
Okay.
It's not that much, though. I think it's like $100.
It was like a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. But I was having the breakdown of my marriage at that point, and
you couldn't be bothered to vote.
no, I was a mess.
Yeah, you can't vote.
I should have voted on the Friday after I finished this course,
No, you
and instead
can't be voting.
had this huge fucking fight with my husband, and then all of a sudden it was after 6 p.m. and the last polling stations had closed, and I was like, fuck. And then they sent me the fine, and I wrote this big soppy letter about how I was going through a divorce, which I was. So yeah, it's like a you know, a slap on the whatever, slap across the knuckles. That's not the term.
Slap on the wrist.
A slap on the wrist. Something about the knuckles. Is it something on the knuckles? Anyway, but there are other issues that come with compulsory voting. So like they call it, there's an issue called donkey voting, where people go in and they just number all the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, without even thinking.
Okay,
yeah. Or there's like just incorrect voting, where they won't do what you're supposed to. They don't follow the instructions, and so you know, like it you know, it has some issues, but I think it is good. I think you should have to vote.
Yeah.
Like, and are you going to become a German citizen? Do you think?
I don't think so, because to do that I would have to renounce my American citizenship.
Yeah.
And I looked into what the advantages of that are versus just permanent residency. And honestly, the only thing would be voting and
also like mobility across Europe.
Yeah.
That's my big reason.
Mobility across. What do you mean when you say that?
So if you're an EU citizen, I'm pretty sure that means for you to live and work in any country within the EU, you don't require a visa.
Oh, that's interesting. So you could just like...
I got to double check that, but that's
not have to deal with the same level of amts and paperwork and stuff.
Yeah, you just move to Italy,
okay. Yeah,
and you get a job, and you get a residence, and you register, but you don't have to get any visa because you're an EU citizen.
Right. Yeah. Boom. Done.
Boom.
Yeah.
Spain, Italy, France.
That's interesting.
Switzerland, Netherlands. Okay, I could keep listing EU countries, but but like that's so attractive for me. Like to be able to, like, I speak Italian, Spanish. I could, eventually pick that up. I sound so fucking anyway. But like I speak it, like, to be able to one day just move to Italy.
Yeah, that's cool.
That would be a great place to die.
Yeah.
Or be able to, just that level of the number of countries, like, the EU might crash eventually and all split off, but like having the ability to maybe just live anywhere in the EU. Woof.
Yeah.
But you can make, I don't know if with the US though, you can make if you can ask and have dual citizenship. With Australia, I can do that.
Oh yeah, I think I could probably do something like that.
Yeah, make an argument.
Yeah.
But it depends on how. Yeah, no, I just want that sweet, sweet Italian retirement.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Or any like, is Greece in the EU?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
They got some islands and shit.
Yeah.
Is Croatia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mediterranean, baby.
Okay.
Like who doesn't want to just have visa-free living rights to the Mediterranean?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to die in Germany?
I don't think so. Maybe. No, I think it's funny. I've traveled a lot through Portugal, and
Portugal.
I was around the Algarve and Algarve, and that is one place in the world I've been. I'd be like, you know what? This would be a good place to die.
Fuck
like,
yeah.
This is good. I like it here. South of Spain, Andalusia, also a good place to die. I went to this small this small town called Punta Umbria in Andalusia, and man, it was great. And I think there were a lot of old Spanish people there that was their idea. They were like, we're probably gonna die here. I was like, that's not a bad idea.
Great idea, right? Like, there's some beautiful places to die here, and like you'd still have some community,
That's funny. That's like before I even really got serious about moving to Europe, I would have conversations like kind of leading up to Trump and then during Trump when I would visit my brother who was living in Trump country at that time, and we would just talk endlessly about like, problems with America, and we don't like America, we don't like being Americans and whatever. And then, I would always I would always be like, like, I don't know, man, but I definitely, I don't want to die in America, I would always say that.
Into that. That's
I would
funny.
always say that. I would always say it. I was like, I don't want to get old and die in this country.
Right? It's not a good place to fucking grow old,
and
man.
then I never really like, in my mind then I never was like, oh yeah, I'm going to move to Europe like 5 years after that. And then here I am. So it's funny. Yeah. That's an important thing. Like, yeah, do you want to die here?
Right.
And so, yeah, no.
I want to die in Europe, I think. Yeah. It's a great place to die.
I think so.
Yeah, and get old or have some kind of health issue. Like, it's a good place to support.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Such an adult episode. It's like old adult episode. Yeah. How old are you?
41. I just turned 41. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was in Barcelona for my birthday.
Fuck yes! Cool. I love Barcelona. Yeah. Well, I like it. Love is maybe too... Like, I do like it a lot. Have you done comedy in Barcelona?
No, I know there's a lot going on there, but I was just there to just chill.
Chill. Yeah, I like Barcelona. It's a bit small, but I saw
a little small,
aerial view of Barcelona recently, and it's fucking amazing.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Like it's beautiful when you're there, but looking at it from above, it's like the way all of the blocks are formed with the intersections being like diamonds. It's just like it's magnificent. Yeah. And the beach is right there too. It's cool because it's beach and city. Yeah. But small. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to spend more time. I do like Spanish people a lot. Do you have? Okay. Here's something interesting. We'll wrap up soon. Okay. But do you have a nationality that you've banged the most? Speaking of Spain, that's why I mentioned that's my number one.
White Americans.
I like how you specify white.
White. I just want to be. Yeah, I was like, should I say that? I was like, too late.
I only picked up on it because I had a date with an Italian like 2 nights ago, and we're talking. He was like, so what does your map look like? Who have you fucked around the world?
That's a very Italian thing to say.
And I was like, woof, where do you want me to start? Anna, tell me. And then I was asking him, I was like, what's your most exotic, like what you think is exotic? And he was like, I would say South Africa, but they're not black. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I've actually never had sex with a black woman. And I was like, that's because you're a racist Italian.
Yeah, that's because you're racist.
Italians, a lot of Italians that I've met that are like Italian, Italian have been like shockingly like not into brown black people.
Oh, interesting.
But like there are lots of Italians that are not like that, but I've met quite a few.
Well, I have a friend from Palermo, which is in Sicily, right? And he was explaining to me that there's this whole weird racist thing within Italy where the North people look down on the dirty South Italian people. And that's weird because they're all white people, really. There's a different shade of there, but it's like,
there's a different shade.
You guys are all like, come on, really? On this tiny piece of land, you're going to be some weird north-south shit.
Like, massively. So weird. Massively. Like, there's films about it, like Rocco e i suoi fratelli, which is Rocco and his brothers, is about like these Southerners going up to the north for work and like, being discriminated against and having difficulty. Like I studied Italian. Like there's this whole huge thing between North and South, but but they're also just like nicely racist against Muslims and other migrants. And like, I remember I had this boyfriend and his little racist Italian friend was visiting, and they were talking angrily about there being a picture in the local Australian paper of about like it was an article about an earthquake or something that happened in Italy, and in the picture was a religious looking Muslim man who looked like he was actually like tan skin and not white, and this girl with my ex-boyfriend were angry about that being the representation of Italians.
Oh, that's gross.
How gross is that? That's
really gross.
And like not even hiding it, like not even, it's just like, what? They're like, they aren't Italians. I'm like, what do you mean? You can't say that they're not, what? And like, that kind of racism. But gross. But anyway, banging nations.
Yeah, I dated an Italian person briefly. I had a fling in New York with an Italian lady I met, and that's was wonderful. I would rate that high. So yeah, if I could rate the nationalities high, that would be that would be high.
About there, yeah. You gotta say German because you got a German girlfriend.
Yeah, a German girlfriend. Yeah, I don't think I've had like real repeat. My girlfriend for a long time in the States was from the South, like the real like Tennessee South, and all her family are like Republicans and like Tennessee and Kentucky, and so some real southern kind of. So
that's a fun accent though.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, yeah, it's kind of getting on the way to Australian, kind of. It's like
I haven't heard that before.
Not on the way. Fair. That doesn't really make any sense, but it's super regional and country and. Just kind of
slow.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Just dated Americans. You know?
I did date quite a few Australians.
Yeah, it seems like you've got kind of a cultural smorgasbord of people you date. Yeah.
Yeah, I got sick of Australians in Australia, and that's when I started with the Italians and Colombian. Yeah, I married a Colombian, and then it was really just Italians, Colombian. There was like I think it was like Ugandan or I'm not sure which African nation he was from, but he was like Australian. Like it was Australian, but he was like half African. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was always interested in I had a big crush on a Maori boy when I was in primary school. I was always interested in and I was obsessed with Will Smith when I was like 5.
Nice.
6,
5. Wow.
5, yeah. When did Men in Black come out? I can't remember, but like 93?
I don't remember.
Maybe. Same year as Kurt Cobain died? I don't think so.
No.
A bit later, maybe 97. So I would have been like, can't do math, like 9 years old or something, and or even 11. Yeah, I was really into Will Smith. Like I had the Men in Black poster on my wall, and there was like a hotline. And I would call it, and I got in trouble for calling it because you called and it was like a 1-900 number. So they charge you a lot. And it was Will Smith talking to you on the phone.
Nice.
But it was just like a pre-recorded thing.
Yeah,
but I was really
pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, my mom, like when I was little, she was like, "Oh, you're into black men. That's good choice, darling." I support you. So yeah, I was always interested in not white people, but but like still I've dated a lot of white people.
Yeah.
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 I was worried that I was racist for a while, but it was just because I hadn't, like, Australia doesn't have many black people. Like, doesn't have a lot of African migrants. Didn't have many.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of like Asian nationalities, but
the
Africans hadn't really got to Australia much.
Yeah.
Also, Australia had a very racist immigration policy up until the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. So that stopped. It was called the White Australia policy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really bad. No Asian immigration was allowed until that got removed by a progressive, sort of left-leaning prime minister. So yeah,
crazy.
Great, bad. Do we want to talk last minute or 2 minutes? Is there anything on the sexual spectrum that we should talk about, or anything adulty that you had in mind, or any last ideas?
I don't know. I mean, being an adult, what does that even mean? What does that mean in this city? I mean,
in this city,
I think it's strange. Like, I don't know what does it mean to be an adult?
I think it means to look after your shit.
Yeah.
In a responsible way.
Right. Just kind of like,
not be someone else's problem.
Don't be a child.
Yeah.
Basically.
Basically being responsible.
Yeah.
For yourself.
I don't know. There's it reminds me of like man children, Man children, and I know there's so many of them in the world. Man children. I don't think I've lived here long enough to notice if there's like more here than in America, or I don't know. You get a lot of man children in Australia, like just guys that just kind of just play video games and just kind of just still trying to like. I don't know how to just like.
I think in Australia, from what I've seen, there aren't that many because they usually need, like, the cost of living's quite high, so you need to have a job, and then the expectations to start a family are pretty strong.
Okay.
So the settling down and have kids,
right, all that kind of
energy's very strong in Australia.
Yeah.
And so even if they're a man child and play video games, they're still going to have a full-time job and be paying bills and being like a dad or something.
Yeah.
So, like, there'd be exceptions, but, like, I'd say that's not that many.
Not so much. Yeah.
Whereas here, I'd say there's quite, because the system will allow it a bit more here to live off the government a little bit and to pursue what you like, which I think would take more the form in Germany of, like, drinking at corner bars and at the train station.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not sure about PlayStation.
Yeah.
Just been drinking.
Yeah. But I don't know. Being an adult I think it's better than being a kid. And this is something I realized from being around my niece or being around kids. And I'm sure you see it as a carer, but it's like, I mean, if you're a kid, you're just like a powerless person, because they are just people, but they just have no personal power and
none.
Like, what a hard situation to be in.
And like they're learning things, but they've got no independence, like very restricted independence. And they're all these limitations on them, and then people talking to them like they don't know shit, and not being allowed to do what they want to do. Being an adult's the best.
It's pretty awesome.
I fucking love it.
You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
I love it. Like, I'm now that I'm doing the job that I fucking the best job that I could ever dream of, and like, I've made my life the way I want it to be. I'm so happy. Like, I get to travel around Europe and do comedy, and go to Australia and do comedy, and live my crazy life with, the kinds of love situations I have, and with friends, and going dancing and seeing cultural events. And I'm very, very grateful for being an adult and still being alive.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. What's your favorite thing about Berlin? This is random, but yeah.
My favorite thing is that it is simultaneously the most crazy, exciting, lively place, and also the most quiet, weird, boring, empty place. Depending on where you are, it can be really wild and insane, or just like empty.
I think you're totally right.
And I love that you can do both, and like you can. Yeah, it's just in New York. It's small. It's dense. There's population density, and it's just around you all the time. Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, here there is actually a weird amount of space.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Even like you go to fucking clubs and you'll still be able to find a space where you are completely alone. Yeah. You can find that. And then, oh man, I love this city.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to, be able to become a mother here, but I think I can see myself living here, being based here. Yeah. Forever. Yeah. Until I go to Italy or Spain to die.
Okay. Well, got some time. So
I'd like to be a little nonna. Yeah. I'd love to be like somewhere warm on the coast, for my frail bones and joints.
That's ideal. It's ideal.
I can't be in Berlin when I'm sprawled.
I think that'd be hard.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No, I need warm weather, absolutely. Yeah. And beach, and like that'll make me feel like I'm dying the right way.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to being that old woman.
Good.
Like tottering down to the where the water is, and sitting there with like some food wrapped up, freshly made, and meeting my old women, bitch, and some guys with their big stomachs out and super tanned, and I'll drink beer. I'll drink again then.
Good.
That's the other thing. I'm going to drink alcohol once I have a kid. That's my rule.
Good plan. Good plan.
That's because once I have a kid, I like the alcohol. Like I'll want to be able to wind down in a socially acceptable way, and I will not want to be hungover for breakfast. Like I'll need to get up to look after them. You know what I mean? So that'll be what limits my consumption.
Sure. great. That's a great, good technique.
I might never drink again, but let's see. Yeah. All right. Well, are you doing any shows or anything that people can find you through, or any projects?
Just my Instagram is Chris Loar Comedy, and I'm going to Chuckleheads tonight at Deriva Bar, so I'll be there.
And you're there a bit regularly.
A bit, yeah. I'll be back on the boat show on Sunday. I'm doing your show the Sunday after that on the 19th.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the 19th. Okay.
Yeah, the 19th.
Is that a Monday?
That's a Sunday, I think.
It's a Sunday. Okay.
I don't know. You have a Facebook message with me on it. So
excellent.
Now I'm not sure, but I'll check.
I'm sure you're on something. Oh fuck. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, same.
It's yeah, excellent. Well, guys, that has been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Thanks so much and goodbye.